So welcome, ladies. I just want you to acknowledge yourself for taking the time out of your busy schedules to invest your precious time and energies to actually be here today, to take the steps to begin to propel your life forward with a greater sense of ease and clarity and joy. And for those of you who we haven't met yet, and we'll be watching this a little bit later, I just want to say my name is Carrie Asuncion Helms with Keys to Empowerment. And I am passionate about helping women to connect or come back to themselves, to trade overwhelm for focus, confusion for clarity, and have the confidence to say heck no to what doesn't serve you. So it starts with calming down our nervous system so you can think more clearly and basically move forward with a deeper level of confidence. So this week we've been talking about 20 minutes a day. It's a very quick drive. And it started this past Monday, so I'm going to encourage you to watch the replays. It's all about unlocking time, energy, and abundance. And abundance can be a variety of things. It could be resources, ideas, joy, money, all of that. So each segment builds upon the next. And I'm going to be sending out an email tomorrow with all of the replays. So I'm going to invite you to, over the weekend, to review them and come back to a bonus session on Monday where I'm going to answer some of your questions. So I found that just this 20 minutes a day is just the tip of the iceberg. It's really, many of you have had follow-on questions that you've been texting me or calling me about. So just to recap, Monday was all about prioritizing yourself, coming back to yourself and carving out that time so that you can have 5+ hours in your week to really align with what really lights you up, to maybe spend more time with loved ones or taking care of your health and well-being. Tuesday, the second day, we tapped into, remember, our body's wisdom, integrating mind and body so that you could create a clearer vision blueprint. And again, that's just a very quick drive through. There's a lot more steps to it, but it gives you kind of an idea of what's calling you forth. And then Wednesday, the third day, we learned how to transform drama to empowerment. And that's using the drama triangle and the empowerment triangle. And we began to get into the positive intelligence tools that help you to engage your sage mind and to basically live with a greater level of compassion. And we'll bring one more person in. And we worked with sage tools. What I call these are to empathize and to activate. So this is your time right now. Welcome, welcome, to put in the chat really what has come up for you. Where have you been growing in this opportunity to unlock time, energy, and abundance? I'd love to hear what you have to say. And while you're doing that, I'm going to share with you where we're going to be going today. So today we're about basically quieting the saboteurs that have been stealing your joy basically, and bring you back to yourself so you can have a deeper level of compassion for yourself and push aside and curiosity and push aside the judge that's been maybe keeping you stuck been keeping you stuck. So, like I said, if there's anything that you'd like to share in the chat, what you've been getting out of our time together, I'd love to be able to share that with others. So put that in there. Let's start by acknowledging that maybe there's been patterns that have kept us stuck. And I'm going to share with you some certain patterns that I've seen. Oh, I love it. So somebody put in the chat, they said, I've been stepping into my true north and my special. I call that your secret sauce. and stepping back into yourself. I love the fact that you're on a mission to share love. Yes, that's great. And I love to be able to light up lives to basically reestablish. So stay tuned because we're going to have more tools to continue bringing you along that aligning with your purpose and your passion. So I'm going to share my screen just to give you an idea of where we're going to be going today. So we saw this yesterday. We saw this slide yesterday, but I think it's worth discussing that really this is based on a body of work called Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Chamine. And it's an area that I've been certified in to begin to use with individuals and groups to begin to transform how they basically approach work. So we're looking at releasing blocks. So you can either spend a lifetime in the saboteur mind, which is driven by fear and stress and guilt and shame, or you can begin to transform your mind, your perception, what I call the lens in which you see the world, and motivate yourself through a deeper level of empathy and curiosity, creativity and passion and purpose, just like what we were saying in the chat, aligning with what's really lights you up. But I'd like for a moment for you to, I'm going to share with you a number of ways in which people take themselves out. And it may be really hard to see this, so I'm just going to give you like a quick visual visual and also verbalizing the ways in which we see that people take out. Maybe you've been stopping yourself or judging yourself and as not enough or incapable, or maybe you've stopped yourself because you couldn't do it perfectly. And so these are ways in which we keep ourselves stuck. And in other words, you may avoid it. You may just say, I don't want to deal with it. You may want to control the situation so that everything is just right. You may be a hyperachiever. This has been one of mine, where I'm always looking at what's the next thing. And you can see how these patterns might actually create an extra level of stress. Like you're never good enough. It's never good enough. Or maybe you've been holding yourself in a hyper rational pattern. Well, if it doesn't make sense, then I'm not going to do it. And I did that early on. I'm realizing now that I looked at it, I said, oh, I needed to verify everything as scientifically validated. And then I began to realize, hey, my reality is actually okay to put out there. Like I know it works in my life. So hyper rational, hyper vigilant, where you're forever on the, remember, this is why we have these saboteurs in the first place, is because they're here to keep us safe. They're on the lookout for the saber-toothed tiger that isn't actually there, the danger that's not actually there. Or many of us as women work with the people pleaser, that part of us that says yes when she really means no. And that's a game changer, to actually stand in our power, to take back our time and our energy to say, no, I don't need to say yes in order to belong. Or maybe you're the restless one where you're so busy, you have so much on your schedule, and you can see how that could be, I'll call it devastating or tanking to your energy. Or a stickler, some call that a perfectionist, right? I don't think I need to define that. Or a victim where it all seems like it never is going to work out. So I share these with you. And in fact, I'm going to give you an opportunity at the tail end to take the test or the quiz. It's a 5-minute quiz, and you can share your results with me so that you can begin to understand what are your key drivers that have kept you stuck in an extra level of stress. But before, I think what I'd like to share next is, I'm going to take it off of share. Yesterday, we talked about like, how do we use these sage tools to begin to activate our sage mind? And one of the first tools that I'm going to invite us to do right now is maybe put on your hand over your heart and think of yourself as that inner child, that part of you who is just love, 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 freedom and play and joy. And I want you to just take a deep breath into that, so that this is a tool that you can come back to time and time again when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, to come back to that inner child and just love her up. Or love somebody else up if you're feeling like they're acting, I'll call it inappropriate or mean or rude. You can come back to that yourself and have a deeper level of compassion for them. So then you could begin to open your eyes again. So thanks for doing that. It felt really good for just having that moment. And so yesterday I was sharing a situation, and I'm going to share my own personal situation so that you can begin to see the power of transforming or using these sage tools to drive forward. And I'm just going to say, if you'd like, you can put in the chat if there were any of those patterns that you saw that you might be, how shall we say, relating to? Because that helps me then to curate this conversation so I can begin to address maybe one of your saboteurs. So yesterday, I vulnerably shared about a personal situation where I have felt confused in order to proceed. And in other words, it was a situation where it was tanking my energy because I was caring so deeply about my relationship with the other person. And I began to realize, so it was somebody who had narcissistic tendencies. And so for those of you who don't know about what that means, it basically was a circumstance where my voice was stifled, my reality denied, and really drama was the tempo du jour. So somebody who was very, it made every circumstance really difficult, right? And I was never right, and they were always right, and I was always wrong. So the thing is, I chose to see this as an opportunity to build my strengths, and that's what I'm going to share with you, kind of take you through it. And I'm seeing, okay, so I'm seeing somebody is fluctuating between the avoider and the hyperachiever, the pleaser and the restless. Yes, I think that's a really good point. We are not just, we don't just have one. It depends on kind of what the circumstance is. But identifying where we're at is actually one of our greatest tools. We can begin to say, oh, now that I see you, I can work with you. There's a number of tools in which we can play. But what I've chosen to play with today is I'm going to share with you what I'm going to call the fascinated, or what he calls the fascinated archaeologist. And this is just one of the 5 major tools that we have in our toolbox when we're working with positive intelligence. And first, we start by accepting what is without trying to change it, and putting the judge aside and beginning to ask ourselves the question. So I want you to think about something maybe that you've had that's been a difficult situation where that's something that's kept you stuck. And begin to ask yourself. So I'm going to just have you take a deep breath about that. It might be clutter. It might be a person. It might be not having clarity maybe on a circumstance. And then ask yourself, what knowledge do I need to gain so the payoff is larger than what it's costing me now? So the situation with the narcissistic person was basically tanking my energy, and it was causing me to question my reality. So really, what I began to realize is that it was calling me to set clearer boundaries and also to have a deeper level of compassion for myself. So what knowledge is basically what is the gift in this situation for you? And the second question then is, what sage power must I grow? What is the gift that's growing inside me? And I haven't shared with you all of the gifts, but basically compassion is one of those gifts. Curiosity is another one. Or maybe we practiced this yesterday, present moment awareness, which means that we might get really curious about what's in our environment right now. In fact, I'm just going to take you through that. So one of the sage powers is actually getting present to present moment awareness, which means that it's not the past that's taking us out, and we can't even begin to imagine the future is going to take us out. We're just in present moment awareness. We're going to do it a little differently today than what we did yesterday. So I'm going to invite you for a moment to just get really curious about what's in your environment, to notice what you can visually see, maybe the colors and the shapes of what's right in front of you. And getting really curious. Like, wow, I see things that I've never seen before, like the brightness, the textures, the colors. And you'll notice that when you come back to this present moment, that you can't be freaked out, right? So now we're going to go to the third question. What inspiring action can I commit to that had this situation not happened, that I wouldn't have had an opportunity? So for example, the beauty of this is, I was working with this narcissist and I was like, this is perfect. I can use this as a circumstance to elevate women, because how many of us have women have dealt with narcissistic tendencies in the people around us? Yeah, there we go. I see a heck yeah. And so I'm using my personal example so that we can all benefit. And basically, somebody had said something on the call yesterday, and it pointed to the fact that what doesn't take us out makes us stronger. Can we relate to that? That ability to have greater sense of resiliency. So using the fascinated archaeologist is just one of the many tools that we can begin to transform our thoughts and our patterns. There's something else that I'm just going to briefly share with you. It is called Navigate. And this is about imagining, we're not going to get into it too deeply right now, but imagining the end of your life and looking back at your choices and asking yourself, what choices have powerfully aligned with my vision? Well, I say vision, values, and purpose. And if you don't know what those are, let's talk. I actually have a few exercises to help you do that. So that's really important as we're moving forward. That's that addressing that confusion that I often see women have, where they say, I don't know what's mine to do. So navigating is one of those. So what gremlin's been sitting on your shoulder and keeping you stuck? And where can you begin to use these tools to shift things up, to propel you forward? Because I like to say everything is figure outable. And sometimes you need to sit with it. And sometimes you need to lean into support and ask those around you, hey, I can't see my own way out of this box. So today has been a quick drive, and I'm going to just invite you to lean into support. You don't have to do it alone. In fact, tomorrow we're talking about how to lean into supports. This is a body of work that I've been sharing with a number of women in the area, and they are loving it because we're going to be exploring what gets in the way of you actually asking for support. And we found that the number one reason is because you're not clear of what you need. So I'm going to ask you to put in the chat, what's one small action that you can take over the next 24 to 48 hours to begin to get the support that you need? And reflecting on the materials that we've done today, maybe it's having a greater sense of compassion for yourself. Maybe it's having present moment awareness. Or maybe it's looking to the future and deciding for what you want to take a stand for. Or it could actually be being that curious archaeologist and begin to say, this current situation is not going to take me out. I'm actually going to evaluate it and see how I can begin to transform it to see it as a gift. So if you'd like to share that in the chat, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I am going to put in the chat the quiz if you're interested in taking the saboteur quiz so that you can have a deeper level of self-understanding to basically say to be able to identify what is the saboteur that's taken you out. And somebody has said in the chat here, I love to say to myself, I do not have to do it all myself, and I accept the help that's been offered. I have to say, it's been a great learning opportunity for me too. I didn't know how to do a 5-day challenge. And so I put it out in my networking groups, and then people popped up with the right resources, with the right answers, and just ideas to help propel me forward. So again, I just wanted to say thank you again, ladies, for taking the time to be here today. I did put in the link, the saboteur quiz is about a 5-minute quiz, so you can begin to identify your saboteurs. And I just want to say, I'm inviting you back to tomorrow so that you can begin to lean into supports that you may even not known that you needed. And really, this is an opportunity for you to tune into yourself 20 minutes a day to activate to basically unlock time, energy, and abundance. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I am going to be releasing all of the replays tomorrow. So I'll give you over the weekend to go over them, and then we'll have a Q&A, a bonus session on Monday to answer some of your questions. So blessings.